everybody, Rita here with G Marvia's Scrap Shack. It's almost Halloween, and guess what? Dave brought out the Nerds candy. So I decided that my craft room fairies are gonna make a tiny junk journal out of the Nerds box. And I want to take you along for the ride. So I've made one, and this is kind of what it turns out like. Actually, this is like the rough draft, basically. The one that was already put together. And it's super cute. I was just thinking of a couple of sweet friends that might want to be given a little treat for Halloween. And I just thought of this today for my Sunday. In between doing loads of laundry, I would put together a tiny junk journal made by my craft room fairies. It's something that Mary Flower does, and she inspired me to do this because she showed some that she made, and they were just adorable. These are way smaller. These are only about maybe 1.5 inches by maybe 2 or 3 inches here. I'm not sure. I haven't measured, and I don't have my, oh, here it is. Here's one right here. We could just check it out. It's the tiny little nerd boxes that you give out for Halloween. So see, it's barely over 1 inch wide, almost 1.25 inches. And then it's 1.5 inches tall. And the thickness of it, it has 3 signatures sewed in. And it is barely 1/2 inch. Yeah, it's 1/2 inch, I guess, wide. Okay. So I thought you might want to come along and see what I did here. This is taking just the craft room scraps, and I did some stamping on them. There's some pieces of, not tissue, but a pattern paper. There's avocado stained paper. There's some ledger in here. There's some marbled paper. There's little pieces of digitals that look like material that I've sewed on the edge. What else is in here? Graph paper. I collected a bunch of tiny little stamps that I thought would fit on a page, Left lots of room for journaling because, people love to try to journal in these tiny little miniature little bits. I've always called them little bits, but stamped on both sides of the graph paper on there. Yeah, so let me show you how I put them together. So basically it's just collecting strips of paper, and making your 3 little signatures. And then this is how I go about making the little journal. First of all, here are my signatures. I've got them piled up right here. Here's a bowl. First of all, you have to open your little box of Candy Nerds. You can eat them while you craft if you like. That's what I do. Got to open the box without tearing it. So what I do is I just put the little awl underneath the flap and kind of like flick it out. And that kind of helps open it without tearing it too bad. You got to glue swab it. You could either decide to cut it off or use it as reinforcement. So I'm going to open it the whole way. Got to open this side as well. Just loosen the glue a little bit. And then you decide if you want to cut the flaps off and have it real, kind of flimsy, or if you'd rather have it a little thick and a little more reinforced. And what I did is I used the flaps, and this is how I go about it. I take a pair of scissors. Because I want to fold this back in on itself, I want to just cut the very edge off of the squares so that when you fold them back like this to reinforce it, it doesn't mess with the fold. Because if it's too thick, it'll, mess with the fold. So that's the first thing I do is kind of thin out the little flaps a little bit by just starting on the edge and cutting up to so when you fold it over like this, it doesn't mess with that fold right there. If it's too thick, it'll mess with the fold. You want your book to be able to open and close easily, so then you glue those down. And I do the same thing with these flaps as well, just a smidge, so that when you fold them up, they're not messing with that inside of the binding there. Just kind of carefully just take off a smidge of it so that when it folds back up, it's not going to interfere. See how it just kind of clears that fold? This one I want to use as a pocket on the inside. I still want to thin it out just a smidge on both sides, just a very little bit, about that much, because this one's the last fold and I'm going to use it as a pocket. This one will fold down, so I got to get that clearance right here, just a smidge, not a lot, just so that it doesn't hang over into the fold. So the first thing I do is I use Art Glitter Glue. It's my favorite. This is, I've had it for a while, but you got to keep a little pin in it. Well, somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they showed tying a ribbon on here and then you have somewhere to put your pin, which is a smart idea. That way you don't lose it, because I always lose it. So I've got that like that. I'm going to glue down this middle tab. Just hold it for a couple of seconds. That's what I love about the Art Glitter Glue, is it does dry super fast, and it'll hold and it bonds really good. So I did that, and I want to use this as a pocket, so that's the last one I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. If there's a little bit on there, you might want to get it off. That's not going to bother me. It's not in the way at all. I just want to get that edge to lay down. I am going to line the inside with another piece of maybe coffee stained paper or something. But I just want to glue these down. It kind of makes it a little stronger so the cover's not so flimsy. And I'm going to do this edge. Or I should say flap. Is everybody ready for Halloween tomorrow? My husband brought home this bag of candy. That's what I asked him. I said, honey, did you get chocolate? No, I didn't get chocolate this year. And I'm like, what? No chocolate? Oh, I said, did you get Tootsie Rolls? No, he didn't buy Tootsie Rolls. And I was like, oh my gosh. So he brought me a little sample last night while I was watching TV and said that if I wanted to, I could eat a box of Nerds. I'm going to go ahead and cut those little flaps off too. They're not going to make it any stronger. It's the back. This is my front and this is my back. So I want both these glued down and I want that over it. Anyway, so I ate my little box of Nerds and it just, got rid of my little craving for something sweet. And I was watching a movie on Netflix, so I needed something. I just needed a little something. And I said, oh, those were pretty sweet. And then I saw the box and I said, I can't throw away this tiny box. This would make the cutest junk journal ever. So that's what got me to thinking last night that maybe I could make a couple of these and give them away for Halloween. So I wanted Nerds on the outside. This is a spine. I got this as a pocket, but what I want to do now is glue this to a piece of paper. And that's the only thing I didn't bring over here. Let me grab a piece of coffee stained paper out of my drawer. You know what? It don't have to be perfect. I'll just grab this piece. This is kind of more like cardstock. I kind of like the dots, but I think I'll go with this section right here. And all I do is put glue. Now that all this is ready, I'm just going to put glue all over this. This is going to line the inside of my journal with a piece of coffee stained paper. And this is how I go about it. I want the glue on the edges to be really good so that it holds on to the paper really good. And I want this to be on the inside, so I'm going to glue this to this side. I'm just going to hold it down for a couple of seconds to make sure it gets adhered really good on all the edges before I trim it. Is anybody crafting today? I kind of wanted to go live, but when I go live, it's really hard to watch what everybody's saying unless you have a helper, and I don't really have a helper today, so Well, I hardly ever have a helper. I used to always want to go live with a buddy and, you know, do some crafting, but it's kind of hard to find somebody with the same schedule that you have, you know. My schedule is Saturday and Sunday. I'm free to be in the craft room if that's where I want to be, but today I did a lot of, normally I do my laundry on Thursday, but I didn't do it, so I had to do it today. I had to get all my stuff ready for work and do my husband's laundry and my bedding. I love to sleep in a fresh bedding. So, yep, I like to get that a little closer than what I did. I wasn't really, hopefully this is showing up on camera. I didn't even look to see if I was still in frame. I try to get it as pretty close as I can, so, because you don't need to see that part. That's only the inside. So this is my pocket on the inside. This is the first flap. I mean the first cover, the outside cover. Here's the spine, and here's the backside cover. I'm gonna get that trimmed off really good so it's not sticking out. I think if it sticks out, it might be able to be pulled off or yanked off by accident. And that glue sticks really good, so we're good. Okay, so there's our little cover. Here's the pocket on the inside of the cover. And the first thing I want to do is put glue on each side of that pocket. I really like how this glue dries. It's pretty tough. So as long as you hold it in place for a couple of seconds, it'll set up and it'll dry. So there's my cover, inside pocket. I brought a little clip that I could put right here to hold that down while I let it dry. But that's our cover. It's pretty cute. I had a purple one. Oh, here it is. This is the one I started. So that was just basically showing you how I got to that point, and the pocket's right here. And then I went ahead and I, you know, with my little stamps that I gathered, I've got some tiny stamps right here. I did the angel right here in the corner, right on the inside of the cover. And I did the tender loving care, or made with tender loving care stamp on the back side of the cover. And then down the middle, I wanted to reinforce it, so I put a piece of denim, and I just kind of left the threads a little, I shredded it at the ends and put a little bit of kind of like book binding, you know, down the middle, so that when you look at your book, it's got these little threads at the top hanging out here and here. And honestly, it just makes the spine a little stronger, you know, so when you sew in your signatures, you don't have to worry about them ripping out or anything like that. That's what that's about. So I got this one ready to go. I also made my holes. I only wanted to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch right there. So I should have made this a little thinner, but the reason I did that is to show where the holes are going to go. And I just measured the piece of paper the same size as of the actual journal cover. And then I have this piece of foam here that I got out of some type of shipping or whatever. As long as you make sure the hole's in the middle, because in this little tiny thing I put 3 signatures, I just lay it on top of that and I press down in the middle, one at the top and one at the bottom, and that's where my first signature is going to be sewed into this. I don't know if you can see the holes, but they're there. And in this book, I always do my middle signature first. And this is the one that has You Brighten My Day. And these are already together. And all I have to do is take off the little clip. Got my papers all piled in there. I think there's like 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's 9. So there's 9 in this one. I'm going to make sure everything's centered. And I'm going to do the same thing with this as I did with the book. I'm going to put this right in the middle of the spine. And I'm going to do my little holes. One in the middle, one at the top, and one at the bottom. They don't have to be perfect, but you know, you want them to kind of all be in the same spot, so you use the little template. I have a needle here with the big eye hole on it, and I already pre-measured my string, and on this one I used 3 different colors. I've got raspberry, teal, and green, and in the middle I'm using raspberry. So I'm going to go ahead and thread this big needle with baker's twine in the raspberry and white, making sure both the little strings go through there. They kind of separate, but that's okay. I put it in the first hole of the signature, right in the middle, and then I grab my little cover that I made, and I go for the middle hole, right down the middle, and then they'll line up, and then I try to pull it through. The holes are kind of small, and this needle has a big hole in it just to make, or a big eye, so that you can get the thicker string in there, but I got it through. So I'm going to go in the bottom hole and come back up through the bottom hole of the signature. I can see it, but I gotta realign it here. Pull it through. Pull it through. Is it coming through? For some reason, how did that happen? Oh, I see what happened. The denim kind of split right there, but that's okay. Maybe it didn't go through. Maybe I have to redo that. I think I'm going to have to redo it. Start over. I'm going to start from the middle, go down the middle, make sure my pages are the right side up. I see what happened. I just didn't keep it straight. I didn't hold on to it very tight. Could always do that so it won't come apart. Pull it through. Hold on to the tail, put it through the hole. I think that's what I did. I didn't go through the denim the first time. There it is. Now I got that through the hole. Whoopsie. It's so tiny, it's kind of hard to work with things that are really small. You'd think a tiny one would be so easy, but I'm going to skip the middle hole right here and go up to the top and go through it all the way to the back of the cover. Pull it through. Kind of takes a little bit of work because that needle's so thick. And then I'm going to go in the middle hole again on that side of it. And I came up on this side of the bind and have the strings hanging out on the left. So I'm coming up on the right side. That way when I tie it, it'll hold down the binding thread toward the middle. Take the needle off. Make sure it's in the center. If this is a little shorter than this side, what you can do is just loosen it up and pull out some either side until it's even, and then pull it tight. And when you pull it tight, just to where you know that it's not baggy on the outside, and then you just undo the little clip. I go over, I tie over, and then pull it real tight, taut, and then I go under. So I was over with the other side, now I'm under on this side. And that's all you really need, just 2 really tight knots right there. And I like the strings to hang down. Normally I put brass bells on these because they're so stinking small. I didn't do it this time. I just kind of cut them to where they dangled down to the end of that. And you could always do some cute little paper hearts, or on a, you know, like hearts on a string or what have you. And I just kind of work with them until they're all bendable one way. All the pages bend one way. They don't have to be perfectly straight, but you want them all in one signature. And then go back to the middle and then start turning the pages over to the right side. Kind of helps them lay flat. So I got my middle signature in, and now I'm going to do the one on the back side, and then I'm going to put in another signature on the front side. The pocket's drying pretty good. Now I got to put 3 more holes here. Where did my little paper go? Here it is. And I just kind of, you know, eyeball it in the middle there, but I want to put my little paper here. I want to make sure it's on the blue part because that's the spine, like that. I lay it down on the, whatever this stuff is called. I forget what it's called. I go down the middle, try to hold it really tight so it doesn't move. Top and bottom. Now I know I got those 3 holes. And the third signature in the back was the one with the graph paper on the outside, and that's this one. The little coffee mugs. I'm going to do the same thing, put this in the middle, and make the holes. That's my little template. And it really doesn't have to be perfect. It's just you want to, you know, you just want them to be from the same template so that they line up. On the third signature, I used the green, and I have a piece of green string right here. So I just want to put this inside this little needle with the big hole. Grab it. Go down the middle. Make sure my pages are right side up. I don't think that, oh yeah, it does. It has I make sure the coffee steam is going up, not down. Put that in the middle, and then I'm going to take my little book and go to that middle hole right there and line them up. Keep my pages lined up. I might want to use that little clip again just to hold it from falling out while I'm working on it. Pull it through, the hardest part. And then go up the top or the bottom, either way. You want to find the little hole that you made in the cover, and then in the pages. Sometimes it's hard to see it. See it, but oh, there we go. Pull it through. That's the hardest part, really, because of that big needle. My hands are hurting. Oh, they're getting, you know, I can't tell if they're getting worse or if they're getting better. It's so hard to judge because I've been working, I'm back to full-time working again, so I try not to overwork them. Got to find that little third hole right here. I can kind of see it, so there it is. And I went through it, passing the middle, pulling it through. It was so frustrating being off for so long and not being able to craft, because I craft for my own therapy. It's like I really need time to myself and to clear my head, and there we go. Just like that. This is on this side and this one's on that side. I like to, you know, come in my craft room because it's just time by myself where I can clear my head and think of everything I need to think about without being disrupted. Or not think of anything while I, you know, try to just craft. So I think that's pretty even. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie it one over the other. And then pull it snug. Make sure there's no extra. And on this time, I'm putting the left over the right and going under. And pulling it snug. So that one's all tied in as well. Take off the clip. And then the third signature is in. Looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect. These are so small, they're kind of hard to get just right, but it's supposed to look like the little fairies made it with all the junk sitting around your craft room anyway, so they're not meant to be perfect. And there's the third one. Now I got to do the first one on this side. So I come back with my little hole to see where it's going to go. I kind of line it up with that. Put it right where I want it, and then I just hold it tight over the styrofoam. That's the word I was looking for. Go straight down in it, because you really don't want to poke your finger. You got to be careful. And that one, the same. Now I got those holes there, and I got this one here, and this is the first signature. this is it. So I already got the holes in that one, and now I just need the teal or turquoise thread. Put it in this little needle. Not easy to do. I had to wet it a little bit. There we go. I think they're going through there. All this little tedious stuff is really testing my the strength of my fingers. Oh my goodness. Okay. Right side is up, and I'm going to put that in the middle. I'm going to go to this little book and find the middle hole, stick it in, line this up, put the little clip right here to hold it for me, pull it through, or try to. It's kind of snug. It's a hard little wiggle. There we go. Hard little wiggle. Find the top hole in the cover and then feel it for the paper. It's right there. Pull it through. That's the struggle. Pulling it through. There we go. I got it. Going past the middle and go up to the bottom. Come out the back of the, well, I got it through the signatures, but I gotta find the back of the hole on the spine here. I thought I seen it, but it's so hard to see it because I got that fabric there. Oopsie. There it is. Whoops. Actually, I don't see it. I thought I seen it. Could be tricky sometimes. There it is. Okay, I got it. Pull that through. And then the only thing left to do now is to come back up through the middle. Get the thread out. Try to go in the same hole. But this time I want to come up on this side of it. Let's see. I feel it, but I wasn't over enough. There it is. Oh, that was tricky. Okay, I got it. Pulling it up. Yep, it's a little rough. I think that's about the same size. Pull the needle out. I always stick it in here so I don't lose it, because I know if I lay it down on the table, it's going to roll away or somebody's going to step on it and then I'm going to feel bad. I just pull it real taut. It's pretty tight right there. And if you don't like the look of the baker's twine on the back side of the spine, it doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of cute. I always usually just leave it. But you could always cover it up with a piece of lace, you know, if you don't like that look, that raw look of, you know, the threads on the spine. Baker's twine, I mean. Normally I don't use baker's twine. I don't like messing with the two different strands that, you know, they get untangled when you're using them anyway, but I like to use crochet cotton. It's just sturdy enough and it makes pulling the thread through the holes so much easier. I'm just reinforcing these little pages to go back. Fold back that way. And then I want to fold them back this way, a couple pages at a time, just to get them used to folding. And then I'm going to trim off that baker's twine at the bottom so it's not hanging down. You can always leave it hanging down if you like that look. You know, some people really love everything very organic and, you know, hanging down the bottom or whatever. These I just let hang down a tiny bit, but most of the time I leave them a little longer and I put little brass bells on them because I like to make noise, but this one I'm not doing that too. So here we go with our little second book. And on this one, I put some tiny little eyelets on each outside of the front cover and the back cover, just so I could make a little tie. So there was a way to tie the book shut. And I ran some baker's twine through the little eyelets so that it has a closure like this. It's kind of hard to close it, but if you're really good with tiny little strings, you can make a little bow and that could hold the book shut. So the way I do that is I want to make sure that they're both centered. And you could either, you know, kind of go by this and mark it, or the way I do it is I always just fold the two covers back on themselves like this, line up the corners, and you can just hold it like that and punch a hole, or you can use your Crocodile Big Bite and use the 1/8 of an inch hole to put the little hole, and then use the little eyelets to fit in the holes, this size eyelet, to make them to where you can, you know, make a little closure. These are super cute. They're fun. You could use any paper scraps that you have sitting around on your desk. And who wouldn't be so excited to get one of these tiny little journals? You know, this one says Nerds Candy Grape, and then this one says Strawberry, and it's pink, like pink for a girl, maybe purple for a boy, or whoever, you know. Who knows who I'm going to give them to. I have a couple of people in mind, so we'll see. I also thought about doing a little drawing, and or even like a little, like if everybody wanted to enter a raffle to win one of these, you know, like everybody could, you know, like maybe buy a raffle ticket or something, like for $2 or even $5, whatever, however you're trying to raise money or whatever, and then have a big raffle. You know, they get so many tickets for every dollar or something like that. And then you make a little bit of money on the side for whatever you need to raise money for. And then raffle off these tiny little, I call them little bit journals. But how cute are these? You know, they're super cute. My daughter saw this one and she was like, oh my gosh, I want the pink one, Mom. I want the pink one. And she gets all my little stuff. You know, she usually gets all of anything she wants. I always make her whatever I'm making at the time. This one's kind of rough on the edge. I didn't, you know, stop in between each one. And like, but what you can do is I take one signature at a time, and I just look at it like this, you know, and try to make sure that they're lined up. And if this bothers you, you could always just cut away a little bit at a time until you get them to where they're all the same, you know, length or whatever. So then they're not sticking outside of the book. And I could do that to each one of these, just to line them up a little bit, because there's some scragglies. But you don't have to do that. You can leave them. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. They're never going to be all the same unless you line them all up at the same time. But I'm just making them kind of even so they're not as scraggly. That's how I do that. So now that they're not... Well, this one's still hanging out a little bit. I probably need to work on that one. Let me see. This one, they were kind of bigger at the bottom. That's what it was. I just didn't line them up like I normally would. Let me see if it's still sticking out. Not as bad. They're still not perfect, but, you know, they're cute. I did sew on the sewing machine these cute little pieces of paper that look like fabric, just to make like a tuck spot here. And if you want some pockets, it's real easy to glue on some pockets or some corner tucks. And I was thinking about doing that with these. I'm still going to color in some of the stamping and do some more stamping on this one. And I'm going to tie it off. But yeah, I just thought you might want to see how I make these itty bits. And my little bits. And I'll finish this one later. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everybody has a happy Halloween. And they have safe travels while they're going door to door begging for candy. And if you pass out candy, have some Nerds. Strawberry Nerds, they're good. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everybody has a happy Halloween. Talk to you later.